Hello and welcome to this short briefing on working together to safeguard children 2023, specifically for voluntary and community services. My name's Leanne and I'm the Learning and Development Coordinator for the Sandwell Children's Safeguarding Partnership, and I'm going to take you through some points around this working together document. The Department for Education's statutory guidance sets out what organisations and agencies who have functions relating to children must and should do to help protect and promote the welfare of children and young people under the age of 18 in England. The 2023 edition replaces the 2018 edition. This new edition of Working Together is central to delivering the strategy set out in Stable Homes Built on Love, which outlines the government's commitment to support every child to grow up in a safe, stable and loving home. As the voluntary sector, you guys are much more likely to see children and families on a much more regular basis than other services such as health, police or social care. You'll work usually directly in communities and you'll see children and young people from different cultures, backgrounds, faiths, ages, genders, etc. And as part of your work, you could be providing a range of services for children, young people and their families to get involved in. Because of that, you guys will have much more involvement and better, longer standing relationships with families than other statutory services. Therefore, your role in recognising emerging safeguarding concerns and working with other agencies is absolutely critical. Your role is vital when it comes to information sharing and contributing key information about children, young people and families to help build that bigger picture, and sharing any concerns around abuse, neglect, exploitation, stuff that's happening in the home and stuff that's happening outside the home can help really formulate a big picture of what's going on for that child or young person and their lived experiences to help make those decisions around what needs to happen next to ensure that they're safe, happy and their well-being is promoted. Research was undertaken nationally by the government to inform the new Working Together 2023 statutory guidance, and this gives us the framework in which we should be working. Within the national context, we've seen the most recent Stable Homes Built on Love and Children and Social Work Act 2017, which helped to name the safeguarding statutory partners. These are the local authority, the police and the Integrated Care Board. In Sandwell, we have a fourth partner, which is Sandwell Children's Trust. These safeguarding partners are then under a duty to make arrangements to work together with each other and with other local partners, including education providers, childcare settings, the voluntary and community sector, to ensure that our children and young people in Sandwell are safeguarded and to promote their welfare and care. So this means at a local level, we have those four statutory partners: the local authority, the police, the ICB and Sandwell Children's Trust. And it's their job to work together to produce the multi-agency safeguarding arrangements for Sandwell. The multi-agency safeguarding arrangements will then describe how we will work together across all partner agencies in Sandwell to ensure that our children and young people are safe and their welfare and well-being is promoted. These changes are currently taking place, and that multi-agency safeguarding arrangements document will be published in December of this year, 2024. As well as the four statutory partners, Working Together 23 also talks about relevant agencies who are part of those multi-agency safeguarding arrangements in terms of their development, but also their delivery. And the voluntary and community sector is one of those relevant agencies. So if you work with under 18s or children up to 25 with a disability, then your organisation must follow the Working Together to Safeguard Children 2023 and also Sandwell's local multi-agency safeguarding arrangements. The guidance makes it really clear and distinctive on how all agencies need to work together, and the guidance applies in its entirety to all voluntary community and social enterprise organisations, childcare settings, faith settings, sports clubs, and anyone else that has contact and works with children, young people and families. Working Together 2023 is broken down into 6 different chapters. We're not going to go into any of these chapters in great detail, but I am going to touch on those that are relevant to voluntary and community sector. So chapter 1 is a brand new chapter in the guidance and highlights how positive outcomes for children depend on those strong multi-agency links and working together. The updated guidance sets out 4 principles that professionals should follow when working with parents and carers. Think about effective partnerships with other agencies and organisations, but also with the families, children and young people that we're working with, and the importance of building strong, positive and trusting relationships. Being respectful, using non-blaming and clear language in both verbal and non-verbal communications, and making sure that all our communications are adapted to meet the needs of those parents and carers that we're working with. It's about empowering parents to make decisions and participate in the decision-making processes by equipping them with information and keeping them updated and directing them to further resources, further support, or signposting them to other services where they can get that information. It's about involving parents and carers in the design of processes and services that are going to have an impact for them. Chapter 2 thinks about the multi-agency expectations for all practitioners. This guidance introduces a set of multi-agency expectations for all practitioners involved in safeguarding for children and young people. That includes the voluntary and community sector. These expectations aim to ensure that practitioners share the same goals when it comes to supporting children, young people and families to minimise confusion. To think about how we can learn with each other and from each other to support children and families better, and to have what we need in order to help and support families effectively, as well as acknowledge and appreciate the differences between services, organisation, and also difference between the families that we're working with. And it helps us to think about challenging each other when we feel that decisions aren't right for families that we're working with. Chapter 3 is split into 3 sections: early help, safeguarding and promoting the welfare of children, and child protection. And each of those sections talks about how we can be fully involved and how those processes and procedures should work for our children, young people and families to ensure that they're safe and their welfare is promoted. And then chapter 6 just reflects some factual updates from current legislation and guidance. So what does all this mean in practice? Well, essentially it means that the updated guidance is applicable to all staff, whether they're paid staff or unpaid staff such as volunteers. It means that all organisations should have safeguarding policies in place. Now, if you don't have one or you think yours needs updating, there's a template and some guidance on how to do this on the Samuel Children Safeguarding Partnership website. It means that all organisations should have processes in place, both internally, if there are concerns around children and young people, and also be aware of local processes in terms of engaging additional support for those children and young people. It means that all organisations should have a named safeguarding lead person, preferably more than one, and that this person is known to all staff, volunteers and anyone that's accessing your services, so they know who to talk to if they have got some concerns. And it also means that all staff, again, whether they're paid or unpaid, have received some sort of induction, they're aware of the policies and procedures, and they've also had some training around child protection. And whoever your safeguarding lead person is has had the relevant multi-agency safeguarding training in accordance with their job role. So this is just an example of what we mean and might help you to put some of this learning into practice. So we have here Riverside Refugee Group, who delivers support to young asylum seekers in their local area. Their trustees are aware of Working Together 2023 guidance and make sure that their staff are also aware of this. The safeguarding lead within the service makes sure that all staff have read the policies and procedures and are aware of both local procedures and their own organisational procedures. All staff and volunteers have received, as a minimum, basic child protection training, and they can recognise and respond to safeguarding concerns. And the organisation regularly reviews its policies and procedures to make sure that they're compliant and up to date in terms of the new legislation. Working Together 2023 puts a big emphasis on early help or family help. What do we mean by that? So early help or family help is about recognising emerging concerns. So kind of those low level niggles, those things where you think, well, these things aren't just quite right for this family at the moment. And it means having those conversations, asking those questions. Is everything okay? Are you all right? You don't seem yourself at the moment. And being able to offer a listening ear and know where to find additional support or signpost families if needed. It's about knowing what to do about that concern. What are your policies and procedures? What are your local policies and procedures? And how and who can you signpost to or get further support from? It's about not ignoring those low level concerns and waiting for them to build. So that young person might need a social worker. It's instead about acting early so we can make sure that our children and young people are happy and thriving and they don't need to have a social care involvement. Early help or family help isn't a service, so it's not a service that you can refer into. It's about all of us working together to make sure that our children and young people and families are fully supported and that any emerging concerns are dealt with, understood, monitored, recorded and supported to stop them from getting bigger for that family and make sure that our children are happy, healthy and thriving again. And it's about seeking that additional help and support from other organisations or from within your own organisation if needed to make sure the family, child or young person is getting the right support for them at that time. So in summary, the voluntary and community sector play a massive role in providing help, support and protection for children and young people. It's around offering support as an organisation. It's around understanding our policies and procedures and how to get additional support for those young people where we notice things aren't quite right or there's some emerging concerns happening. It's about referring on to other services and agencies if our service can't offer the additional support that that family might need at that time, and understanding how to do this with consent to make sure that our families get the right services for them at the right time. This could include completing an early help assessment to get additional support from family hub services or from strengthening families. It's about recognising when those concerns are more than just niggles and a child might actually be at risk of harm. And it's then about knowing what our own organisational policies say and also what our local procedures are around getting additional support for children at risk of harm. How do we contact our children's social care services? Who do we speak to? And how do we get that additional support quickly for our children and young people? And it's about contributing then to any multi-agency plans, meetings, assessments that might take place for our families. Again, making sure that we build that big picture to fully understand what that child or young person's lived experiences are and how we can support them to ensure that they're happy, healthy and thriving again. So what's next? Here are our top 8 tips for what you need to do or might need to think about doing next. There will be lots of communication and possible workshops, so please do look out for these and please do come along to them if they're relevant to your organisation. In line with Working Together 23 and keeping children safe during community activities, after school clubs and tuition, you will need to review your policies, procedures and incorporate any changes you might need to make, and also ensure that all staff within your organisation, whether paid or unpaid, are aware of the changes that you do make. If you have trustees or board members, you need to ensure that they're clear on the updates and what they mean for your organisation, and ensure that all staff, whether paid or unpaid, have fully trained in safeguarding in accordance to their job roles, whether that's basic safeguarding and child protection awareness, or for those designated safeguarding leads, that additional multi-agency training. You need to ensure that at least one person in your organisation is skilled in safeguarding. More would be preferable, because if they're away or poorly for whatever reason, then there's somebody else that can cover. This person needs to be trained in safeguarding and needs to link in with other services and make sure they're aware of both their internal and local safeguarding processes and procedures, and ensure that they're following those. Look out for future communication and possible workshops on the STAR practice model, which is the new way of working in Sandwell and as a response to Working Together 2023. And make sure you familiarise yourself or keep yourself updated on the new integrated front door, which is going to incorporate some changes in terms of our local procedures around child protection and safeguarding. And look out for any sessions around multi-agency safeguarding that might be relevant to your organisation. There are a number of links that might be really useful to you in terms of understanding the new legislation and updating any policies, procedures, training, etc. that you might need to do within your organisation. I'll pop the links below in the description so you'll find them there. Thank you for listening to this presentation, and I hope it's been helpful to you.